death, blood, screams. Woo! I don't know. I'm typing this out, I'm typing out this script 2 weeks in advance while yawning every 2 minutes and am on call with my amazing hyper boyfriend. Anyway, let's get into chapter 5 already, so I can talk to him for a few more minutes before I go to bed. I know recording me hates it when I write in the present/past tense, but whatever. I already had written 2 other scripts, finished a test, did some more statistical analysis, and some other stuff. Anyway, chapter 5. I hop inside the carriage immediately after Jeffrey shows up. Jackson and Daniel are also with us, timidly sitting in the back. Perhaps they're going to help us pick out some clothes. Or maybe we need to quickly deliver some crops on the way to the docks, where I assume we're headed. It was shocking when I woke up this morning and the plant was still alive and healthy. Its roots must have reached further than I assumed they would have. It truly is a parasite. I'd laugh if it managed to reach the towns and dry out all of their fields. Granted, they'd probably be able to lead it back to my shack and I'd get punished. But it'd still be pretty amazing. Hopefully my neighbors don't have a well nearby, or something that the Rungan is draining. What are they doing with us? I asked Jeffrey, gesturing to the 2 nervous men as they continue to radiate tension. Did they get in trouble with their boss or something? He glances over his shoulder and they both gulp once he turns back. They're going to keep guard as we go searching for the violet clothing. What's Jackson supposed to do? Daniel asked with a laugh, pointing out how skinny Jackson is compared to the rest of us. Jeffrey lets out an exhale. I'm sure his height can help out somehow. Jackson attempts to shout something, but Jeffrey promptly continues. We'll be headed to the docks, but from the rumors I've heard, there are alleyways and underground areas still selling different colored clothing. Poor Jeffrey. He really is being irresponsible. If he wasn't going there with an assassin and 2 amateur gang members, then he'd definitely either end up getting ripped off or even killed. We could just ask one of the elderly ladies in the towns to make me violet clothing, but they'd probably tell everyone due to their pride or take forever to finish it. We can't risk either. Will that World Wanderer guy be there to help us? Jackson asked with a sour tone, crossing his arms across his chest like a child. I'm not positive, but if we end up seeing him, then we can ask for assistance, Jeffrey mentions, sharing the same expression of confusion as Daniel and I. Yay, Jackson responds in monotone. What's up with you, dude? Daniel asks in a whisper, nudging him with his shoulder. Nothing, Jackson mutters, with a pouty lip that makes his entire behavior appear staged. The rest of the ride is in complete silence. We pass through 2 towns, Brooklyn and Singing Pig, on our way to the docks. Plenty of people pass by us, giving us faint looks of pity at how slow we're moving. The rowdy cowboys of the land fly by us, swinging lassos stupidly in the air as they search for creatures to hunt. There are even more fancy carriages that close around the top. Some wealthy people in clean brown clothing chat and glance at us through their polished windows. Jeffrey, I ask calmly, once we're back to the lonesome roads of the empty lands, is today Saturday? Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, he responds, with a voice conveying the emotion inside of me. Like, why are they all dressed up so fancy? It's not a blessed day. Perhaps it's a birthday? Jackson suggests, finally out of his childish mood. I doubt it, Jeffrey responds, sounding like an ignorant and arrogant old man. They would have worn a dress or suit of sorts. Instead, they're just wearing fancy shirts and slacks. How could you see their legs? I ask. The window is big, but it didn't reach down low enough for him to possibly be able to see their pants. The man adjusted his legs and I saw. He answers blankly, and goes to the right slightly, as another farmer carriage comes up to us. Both of the farmers tip their hats to us, and we do the same as we pass by each other. The horse looks almost like it was made in a factory compared to ours. Its muscles are large, coat clean, and healthy, and its legs stomp properly into the ground at a repetitive pace. We're back to silence the rest of the way to the docks. I can sense that Jeffrey's thinking deeply about his poor horse, most likely feeling horrible about how much work he has to put it through. It's an old steed, that topped with how he's not able to feed it properly, and how much he has to travel every day. I wouldn't be surprised if poor Diamond was reaching the edge of her life. I just hope that she'll make it through the time that I'm gone. I don't want to risk Jeffrey being alone after just losing the horse he's had for years. They've been together even when he was wealthy and able to give Diamond the world. The waters of the ocean come into view, the lands beyond it not even visible. The docks are not too populated today, a few musicians playing music by the edges of the water, and workers importing and exporting crates and large sacks of crops on and off of the ships of varying sizes. Large crowds descend from a large boat, bigger than even the homes of the wealthiest people in Syrian. Mothers hold the wrists of their children close to make sure that they don't mess around. A vast mixture of colors in the crowds mixes and disperses as they hop on carriages to head for wherever they need to be. It's early summer, so they must be here for a vacation of sorts, though I don't understand why they'd come here. There's nothing really to do, and unless they live in one of the towns, they won't be able to enjoy their stay for very long. For a vacation, I'd rather go to either Olea, Sortirid, or Kolsant, though Olea and Sortirid would definitely be pretty expensive, but they do have the best lifestyles. Kolsant doesn't have money in their nation. Everything is free, and people make and do things because they want to. Their entire land is also covered in flowers, and they are the most peaceful nation out of all 16 nations. The only nations they have issues with being Olnak, Rephard, and Duthius. Timber! Jeffrey and Jackson shout my name, snapping me out of my daydream. Daniel stands silently by them, keeping his hands in his pockets and his head down. He must have caught sight of another night soldier member around here somewhere, possibly even more than one. "Oh, sorry," I mumble, and hop down from my seat, helping with tying up both the horse and carriage, since I'm the best at tying knots here. We finish and Jeffrey leads the way through the crowds. Jackson walks in front of me, and Daniel walks behind me. Jackson's steps are scattered, and his hands fidget by his sides as we continue forward. I stare straight at his back, counting his breaths and seeing how deep or shallow they are. He's anxious. Perhaps by the crowd, or maybe he and Daniel now have bad blood with the night soldiers and no longer feel safe in crowds. It's also possible that they're planning something that puts both Jeffrey and I at risk. There's a chance, so it's best if I keep my guard up and watch my surroundings. The air is musky and smells of unbathed men and rotten fish. Hopefully the ship I take won't be this bad. I can handle the scents on their own, but together, it makes my stomach turn and vomit push up into my mouth, only for me to force it back down again. I'm amazed I even can vomit. I haven't eaten a full meal in days. In fact, how the fuck can I even walk? "This way," Jeffrey calls over his shoulder as we enter a boathouse. I gasp for air upon leaving the large crowd and entering the surprisingly empty shop. A shopkeeper stands behind a counter. He has dark brown hair and a cap with a fish on it. He's cleaning a spear that appears to have some sort of oil on it, setting it down upon seeing us. We don't even stop to check out anything. Jeffrey just leads us to the counter where he stops and whispers something to the shopkeeper. "Right this way," the shopkeeper responds, leading us behind the counter and through a back door. We're led through a small storage closet with another door hidden behind some jackets. Then, as we go through it all, we emerge into a brick alleyway that seems almost otherworldly. The variety of colors is almost like a celebration, or even the hallways of my old night school, since it was available to people of all nations. The mixture of color almost seems like a utopia, one where everyone is equal and everyone can live however they like. The chatter is loud but joyful. Even the most stressed of salesmen have smiles on their faces as they hold a white shirt up in front of a little girl. It seems like the mother's taking her daughter to Sortirid, the nation that lives up in the sky. I hope that they enjoy themselves. It truly is a magical place. Some people living up there even have wings, including their king. The shopkeeper stops and spins around to face us. It's difficult to hear him over all the people, but I just managed to understand by reading his lips. I have to get back to my shop now, but the best place to purchase violet Vacmite clothing is straight ahead. It'll have a sign that says, Agatha's Shop of Colors for Peace. With that, he squeezes past us and promptly disappears into the crowd of color. We continue forward, now paying close eye on all the signs around us. Some of the signs are worn and barely readable. Others look brand new and even feature fancy writing. However, it's not long before we find a sign to our left. It looks handmade, and almost like it was made by a loving elderly lady. The shop is pretty large too. It's an actual building compared to everything else, which are just stands with clothes hung to them. Some stands designate the entire thing to one color, and others have more of a variety. I grab Jackson and Jeffrey since they seem to not have noticed her sign and pull them back. Jackson nearly lets out a cry but promptly silences himself once he realizes that it's just me. We enter the shop and find a kind-looking elderly lady smoothing out some black shirts, the shade of Ithate. She smiles gently and slowly turns her head to face us. "Oh, good afternoon, everyone," she greets us, folding her hands in front of her. Her voice is gentle and grandmotherly. If I ever met my grandmother, then I'm sure being around her would give me nostalgia. Every visible part of her skin is wrinkled, and her hair is a wise silver. She's wearing a black shirt, gray pants with pink socks, and lime shoes, Ithake, Quahog, Colsant, and Vrother, all represented on one short and kind-looking woman. "How may I help you?" Jeffrey hesitates for a moment as he glances at the elderly woman. He gulps, then gestures over to me. She's doing a job in Vacmite, and I'd feel more comfortable if she was wearing violet. That way she won't, get scammed or anything. Daniel, Jackson, and I struggle with keeping in our laughter. It becomes even more difficult at the sight of Jeffrey's face turning pink. The lady's smile remains kind and doesn't shift. Very well. She places a hand on my shoulder and gestures for me to walk forward. "What kind of clothes are you looking for?" I know the chances of her having tactical clothes are low, but I might as well give it a shot. I gesture to my current outfit and ask, "Do you have anything like this?" She places a hand on her chin and eyes my clothing. Luckily I did thorough cleaning of my clothes. I hated if she saw blood and mud that was once all over my jacket. She then squeezes between me and a few racks with clothing on them. Casual shirts of different colors, and examines the back. Finally, she says something and I turn to face her. "I'm sorry, sweetie, but I've recently exported all my clothes with that type of style." "It's fine," I smile, waving my hand in front of me. "Do you have anything with tons of pockets though? Perhaps even pockets with zippers?" She nods joyfully, like she's proud to still be of help. "Now that I know I still have." She leads me to one side of the shops, everyone else checking out other clothes on their own. She pulls a violet pair of pants off of a shelf and holds them in front of me. They look nice, pockets in the side and back, plus a hidden one in the crotch area that has a violet zipper perfectly matching the rest of the cloth. It seems to fit me perfectly too, not too baggy, yet not too tight. Plus, they have a casual sense to them, being sweatpants and all. Like it? I nod, smiling brightly as I take them from her and toss them over my shoulder. Absolutely. Next up, a shirt. She walks past me, checking out a few racks. And a jacket of sorts too, I mention carefully, almost like talking too loudly will cause her to wither away. Of course, though I don't think you'll need it that much since Vacmite is a forest biome. She adds with a smile and hands me a shirt. It's not very noticeable or unique, which will keep me safe from any sorts of bandits and thieves within that land. It doesn't have any pockets, but it's fine. I can just use the jacket for pockets. What about your bag? She asks, gesturing to the brown backpack slung over my shoulders. I almost forgot about that. Do you sell any here? I ask, looking around, but still not seeing any bags. There's a few hats and masks by the entrance of the shop, but not much else. Why, yes, I do. She smiles, folding her hands in front of her as she heads behind her counter and places a large box full of purple bags on top. Feel free to look through all of them. All four of us look through the bags, eventually finding one that looks perfectly alike to mine except violet. It's perfect, I mumble in awe as I hold it. We're ready to purchase. Jeffrey smiles as he watches the kind lady head behind the counter and count up our expense. I cross my fingers as I hope for the price to not be too hefty. That'll be 20 onions, the lady smiles. Jeffrey reaches into his pocket, and all of us exchange shocked glances. How is this so low? I ask, my voice almost a squeak. Because my goal is to bring in peace by having it so then everyone has an availability to more than one color. She answers with a welcoming grin. So I have to make everything affordable. You truly are a remarkable woman, Jeffrey compliments her as he hands her 20 onions and a 5 onion tip. Should have kept that for his horse. Good luck on your trip, sweetie, the lady nearly shouts as we exit the shop. Good luck with your shop, I shout back, smiling and waving before we turn the corner and disappear once more back into the crowd of color. And that is all for Chapter 5. I want to go to bed. I have no clue when the future me will be recording this. Could be Tuesday. Could be Wednesday. Could even be last minute, which would be stupid, but whatever. Check out my novels, Death Chill, Flame Rip, and Arctic Blaze on Amazon and Kobo, link in description. Check out the Creative Writing Club Premium on Patreon and Spotify, link in description. Check out the Creative Writing Club Discord server in the description. Check out my personal Instagram at dark_night_wolves. And this 12 a.m. written exhaustion of a meeting has come to its inevitable demise.